Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for ICONversations. The ICON program was designed to celebrate our company's top producers. These agents have not only exceeded capping status, but have also reached exceptional milestones, earning them various stock grants and the opportunity to earn back their paid company dollar. In other words, they are top shelf. Today, from New Jersey, our amazing moderator is Tracy Nimons. From Ontario, we have Michelle Kenley. And from Texas, we have Patrick Cerna. Tracy, take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, or should I say good morning afternoon to everyone. How's everybody today?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Glad to hear. Happy Friday, and I'd love to just jump right in. I thank you so much, Brian, for introducing everyone. And since he has already stated where you're from, how about we start with something really basic? Why don't you tell us a little bit about how long you've been in the business and what drew you to EXP? And let's start with Michelle.
Okay. I have been in the business my whole life. I've been licensed since 2016, but I worked for two realtors before then. So I mentored with them doing commercial and residential. And my father has been a realtor since before I was born, and my grandfather, the same thing. So I've been in it my whole life, and I've been with EXP since 2020, and I have iconed each year that I've been here.
Wow, sounds good. Thank you. And I love the fact that you said you've been in it all your life. So it's a generational thing for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And thank you so much again. How about we move on to Patrick? Patrick, tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, so I'll try to do the fast version. So my first career, I'm 53 years old. My first career from 20 years old till about 30 years old, I was in Catholic seminary, universities in Italy, Spain, and Texas. Did a year and a half of mission work in Mexico, spent a year with an exorcist priest. And I was 16 years, I was a priest pastor, university professor, hospital chaplain, published writer, all that kind of stuff. So after 16 years, and I did real estate with the diocese. And then in 2017, I entered the layman world, started real estate. That's what my daddy did. And went full-time, did Marcus and Millichap commercial. And then after that, went off to a couple other brokers, then went to EXP. So my first 2 years, I was in poverty. When I left the priesthood, I had $2,000 in the bank, a 10-year-old truck with 320,000 miles, broken all the time, broke, sleeping on air mattresses at friends' apartments. Wow. So I was like in true poverty the first 2 years, 2017 and 18. And in 2019, I got with EXP. And then I started applying everything I learned at Marcus and Millichap commercial stuff from my dad. I paid for a lot of trainings. I probably overstudied. That almost ruined me by overtraining and not doing enough actual real estate. And then, but I did it fast. So in that 2019 year, I purchased my first house from nothing. I purchased a nice brand new pickup truck, purchased a brand new Dodge Challenger, paid off about $120,000 of credit card debt that I racked up of making no income the first 2 years. So, and it was so hard. I was so scared. I lived on fear, man. My first 2 years, I was living on fear of no income. And I made a promise to myself and to the Lord, if you help me to make it, Lord, then I'll help anybody that I can help who's struggling, or any rookies later on. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I've made Icon twice now. I've only been with EXP for a few years. I've hit Icon twice, and I want to keep doing it and helping anybody along the way.
I appreciate that. And absolutely, giving back is so amazing. I think that is one of the things that I think it was a surprise for me coming to EXP, not realizing how much you can give back and how much you can help other people. And as you grow and you go higher, you can lift other people up. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. I don't know if Sean's gotten on, so I'm going to go to Daniel. Daniel?
Tracy, it doesn't look like Sean or Daniel are here, so we've got Michelle.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. So let's go in. Here's another question I'd like to kind of throw at you. What are some of the disciplines or habits that you stuck with, even when the results weren't showing up? Like sometimes you start off with some disciplines and some habits, and obviously right away you don't see anything materializing in that. What are some of the things that you started, and are you still doing those things? And how has it helped you in your real estate business, Michelle?
That's a really good question. And I think about this all the time. And I talk about this all the time with everyone within my team or crew or downline. You have to stay consistent in your prospecting and following up with your clients. That is the most important thing for me in my business. I am always, always, always following up with clients. I'm always having those touch points. I'm texting, calling, emailing, wishing happy birthday, sending videos, sending market updates, just constant contact with clients, because those are the ones that I've already gained the rapport with. And those are the people that are going to know, love, and trust you and refer you. And it's going to be way less work to try and get new leads by keeping in touch with all of your old leads and really just respecting and cherishing those leads, right? So for me, it's spending, January, February, if it's dead, I'm doing all that follow-up. I'm checking in with people. I'm checking in with clients. How are your holidays? How was, the reno that you just finished or whatever, you kind of can go on Facebook or Instagram and see what they're doing, checking in with them, because in January and February, if you're dead, well, you're trying to fill your pipeline for March, April, May, June, July for the next 6 months. So honestly, never stopping prospecting or following up with clients.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And for me, I think it's the same thing. It's really easy to work with people that you know, love, and trust, as opposed to trying to get new business for people that don't know you, may not respect your opinion, and may not even consider you an authoritative person. So I like what you're saying. Let me ask you this, though. Are you making it a habit daily? Do you actually have time that you set aside for lead generation, or you just doing it as you go along?
It depends the time of year. Like if I'm, say January, February, if I'm a little slower, I will time block and I will say, okay, I'm going to spend, an hour on social media, and on social media like Instagram and Facebook are the kind of two that I utilize. I'm going to spend 2 hours on that. I'm going to make sure I reach out to everyone whose birthday it was. I'm going to scroll through and kind of catch up on what people are doing. I'm going to use that time to find, trending audio, or I'm going to kind of come up with ideas. So I will time block for that stuff. Great. So social media section. But I have set it up in, now it's Bold Trail, but KV Core. I had my admin go through and enter everyone's home anniversaries. So people had automated messages going out. Happy home anniversary. We hope you're still enjoying your home. Reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that. So those would go out and we would get responses from those, and then it would kind of spur conversations like, oh yeah, shoot, I haven't spoke to that person in a little while. But I will also time block and kind of go through my phone. Everyone has a phone, everyone has a contact list. So I'll kind of scroll through and then just choose random people to just reach out to and be like, hey, I got a new phone. I'm just going through my contacts. I haven't spoken to you in a while. I hope you're doing well. Right.
Sounds good.
Just little, but yeah, I try my best to do time blocking. Right now, it's super busy for us. I've been busy for the last 3 months, so I'm staying afloat as best as I can. But I am still diligent on going social media and specifically interacting with people on stories. Because most of my clients are there. People are interacting with me, right. So absolutely. I do still make it a priority for that, even if it is like, half an hour instead of an hour, or put more on my admin to kind of reach out to clients. So yeah, I typically am time blocking for those items.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And Patrick, I'm going to say the same thing to you. The question is, what's one discipline or habit that you stuck with, even when you didn't see any results? Something that maybe you've done even prior to real estate that you feel that's ultimately made a difference in your business right now.
Okay. So I would say the main thing, it's kind of like what she was saying, is do not rely on your feelings. It is a choice, not a feeling, especially when you're discouraged, especially when it's dry, especially when you're seeing no results. That's when you got to swing harder, swing more, strike out more, keep making those calls, keep doing the follow-ups, keep doing the door knocking, keep doing all of the above. And that's when it's going to pay off. And a good metaphor or a good comparison to think about is something I've heard some of the best coaches say. Winners are made not during the season, but during the off season. Okay. So right now we're in a very slow real estate market. We can call it, if you want to say, an off season. A lot of realtors are having to take loans, line of credit, second job, doing Uber, DoorDash, side hustle, whatever. We've seen a lot of our realtor friends leaving the industry. Okay, if you're still sitting in that chair listening to these people talk right now, that means you're still in the game. And you're probably sweating bullets. You're probably stretched thin. You probably maybe got some debt going on. Just keep at it. Keep swinging.
Makes sense. Absolutely.
It's got to be your tackling fuel. So make those calls like what she said. Do the follow-ups, especially when you're seeing no results, because that's when it's going to pay off. You got to water. You don't see the fruit of watering until months later. Just keep watering. Keep doing those tasks every day.
Well, excuse me. Well said, Patrick. What I believe is, and I think there's something you said makes sense, because I believe you do reap what you sow. And for me in business, I am always looking for a harvest, but I recognize that you don't get a harvest unless you plant some seeds. And when you plant the seeds, you do have to water them. You have to nourish them. You have to take time. And for me, the discipline is just daily recognizing that I am always planting seeds every day. Like Michelle said, I am either on social media, or I am talking to people. I am developing a discipline where I am working with people, clients, friends, and I am trying to plant seeds so that when it is slow or when we have a bad season, that I can reap a harvest from that. And so I appreciate everybody. And I see Sean has joined us as well. So Sean, I'm going to ask you as well. We were talking about something that we do, or what's one discipline or habit that you stuck with, even when the results weren't showing up? And it may have been
100%.
something prior to real estate.
No, great. I think very good question. Actually, it's just all about, starting your day right, actually, with good energy. And I think start your day early. And I think it's all about those non-negotiable tasks that you have to take care of every day, whether it is your, reaching out to your current clients, having daily conversation with your sphere of influence, being active on social media. So I think consistency is the key. So I did heard that, even if the results are not coming, you gotta show up every day, do your non-negotiable things, and, and you will start seeing results if you do it consistently and every day.
I love what you said. And I'm going to I'm going to turn that around, because you said you do have to show up every day. But you know what? Let's be real. Sometimes we really don't feel like showing up. So what do you do when you don't feel like showing up? How do you refocus?
No, 100%.
Your business?
Yeah. So I think it's just more about, sit with yourself and you figure out what are those non-negotiable things, right? For me, waking up early and, working out is one of the main things. Actually, I want to feel good. I want to stay fit. And, I know that if I do work out every day, I'll feel motivated. I'll feel good energy. And, we get hit hard every day, with people. And, so for workout for me is going to the gym, have that kind of anxiety out and, get that positive energy back. So today, this morning, I did wake up at 5:30, still not feeling going to the gym. Body's tired and, feeling full of pain. But I do know that, that is the thing which is non-negotiable. So I really had to make it. So even if I was not feeling very good, I still showed up. I did my thing and came back. And, once you're done with that, the feeling is amazing. So again, yeah.
Absolutely.
If you do it every day, it's going to make a difference for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Daniel, thank you for coming. And I wanted to ask you the same question, in terms of, sometimes we just don't feel like showing up in real estate. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes you're having ups and downs. What do you do to refocus and show up strong, even on the tough days when the phone's not ringing, you're not getting any leads? What do you do to refocus in your business?
Yeah, well, I think one of the best lessons I ever learned was from Mike Ferry, where we just talked about the concept of business maturity. So business maturity is, whether things go good or bad, we still have a job to do. And our job is to find people or need our services to either buy or sell. I think so. That's a guiding principle, number one. Number two, I think you can actually do some preventive maintenance. And I don't know who else does this here, but like set your business calendar for the year. So plan the days that you're going to take off. So there's that proverbial pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Because when you honor your calendar, if you set a calendar of when you're going to take time off, and you honor your calendar, it makes it to where you can feel about you came and you did your job, and on the days you take off, you don't feel like you have to catch up because you work the days you were supposed to work, and you've earned that time off. You've earned that seat on the bench to sit on the sidelines and rest and recover, and then get back in the game. When you're scheduled to go back to work. So I think that's a thing that gets overlooked a lot.
Makes sense, and I love what you're saying, because I agree too. I honor my calendar as well. I do plan out my years in advance. My 1 year, I shouldn't say years. But for the most part, I believe that the discipline of showing up and having something prepared every day, having a schedule that you follow, and knowing when you're working and when you're not working. I follow a method that I was taught by a coach a few years ago, which is the rest and run rule. And then the rest and run rule is you run hard for 4 days during the week, and then you rest on Friday. But I don't physically rest. That just means I don't do lead generation on Friday. I still work, and I work on my business. And then we run for 3 weeks, and then we rest for 1 week. So we run 3 weeks lead generation Monday through Thursday. And then on that last week, we're just going to rest, not meaning that we're not working, but we are not doing the lead generation, and we can build ourselves up and give us some time to recoup. So I do believe that what gets scheduled gets done. And it is something that you can do. Let me ask Patrick. Patrick, what do you do to refocus and show up strong? You said your market was kind of slowing down. So when it's a tough time, what do you do to refocus your business?
What do I do, like concretely, or what do I do mentally to make myself do those things?
It could be mentally, it could be physically, something you do. Some people go away, some people, say they have to, have some time with family.
Mentally it's pretty basic, but basic works. Okay. So mentally, I play in my head, what will happen if I don't get on the ball and hump it hard and go 900 miles an hour? And then I visualize all the bad things that can happen. I'm an only father of an 8-year-old child. What would it look like, me not paying the bills for my child's groceries, school, just sustenance? If I don't make the money to pay for diesel fuel, I pay $3,000 a month on diesel to show ranches all over Texas and land for development all over Texas, then I will truly have career suicide and family suicide if I don't get moving and start selling. So I think of World War III disaster in the personal life of Patrick Cerna, losing everything. That gives me massive fear and anxiety, and I get moving no matter how tired or lazy I feel. So mentally, that's what I do to get myself motivated. If I find myself getting lazy or tempted to just slouch off. So that's what I do mentally. Now, when I get to work to get back on the program, it goes back to what the young lady, Michelle, was saying earlier, is make those calls. It's all about the phone calls. It's all about, you can do the in-person, but you got to be efficient with your time. Okay. You got to multiply your time and don't waste time. You got to cut out the time waste in your life. Time wasting just slows down your income. So
Absolutely.
just you got to multiply your time. What does that mean? In the beginning, I would iron my own shirts. It might take 2 to 3 hours a week to iron my own. I'm going to save money. I'm going to iron. You know what? Pay that $100, $200 a month to have people iron my shirts, and that 3 hours that I would have done to use that 3 hours to make cold calls or warm calls or follow up. Man, those 3 hours.
Yes.
Those 3 hours just got me 2 commissions. I just got $20,000 from that because you want to save $100 for ironing, or you want to make $20,000 using that 3 hours a month to make cold calls. So you got to multiply your time. Okay.
Absolutely.
Just getting on the phone, making the calls, follow-ups, all that. That's what I would do.
I love it. And I know recently I said the same thing about my time. That's one thing that you don't have a lot of. And so for me, I decided that I had to be very practical and I had to really guard my time. And that if I was going to show up and do anything with anybody, even if it's for 1 hour, it had to be valuable and it actually had to be something that was worth it to me. And so I had to ask more questions, even when you're meeting with buyers or sellers sometimes. Sometimes you're meeting with people and they're not in alignment with where you are. And, it may be a waste of time. So I appreciate you saying that. You do have to buy back your time and multiply it. So, Michelle, what do you do to refocus and make it and show up strong, even when you're having tough days and when things aren't going well?
I mean, kind of similar to Patrick. I'm not a single parent, but I am the breadwinner. And for me, it's important. I want to pay for my son's school. I want to pay for his hockey. I want to go on vacation. So it's the constant, it's do or die. There's no other option. So I just keep pushing myself that way. I really love what I do and I love this job and I love coming and showing up every day. So for me, I don't feel the lag, but I do, you feel the verge of burnout and you kind of have to take a step back. So I just choose my days. All right, I'm only going to work from 9 to noon today. And then I'm going to take off the rest of the day and, maybe go grab a book and a coffee and chill out for a bit, or I'm going to look into my next vacation and what the plan is for that. And I really like what Patrick said, the time versus money. I say this all the time. If I can pay someone to do, my admin tasks and that gives me a half day off with my kid, that's a huge benefit. That's massive. That's invaluable. He's 6. So for me, it's I only get so many summers with him before he's an adult. It's really important. So I typically take off most of my summers. I typically go on a vacation. I have a cottage. So I am picking and choosing the time I'm taking off and what I am doing. And then I'm also just passing off a lot of leads that, are new leads that don't serve me. So, new leads that come in and I've never met these people before. Well, I could take more time with my family and just sit back and get the referral from a teammate. And, it is totally the time versus money. I think it's way more worth it for me to have family time and enjoy that time off than it is for me to chase every single deal and work every single night and be away for dinner and miss hockey games and miss soccer games. It's just not, you lose sight of what's actually important in life. So I always have the goals. I always have the focused sight on life and what I want out of it. So that keeps me going. Don't get me wrong. There's some days I just want to veg out and, that's totally okay. We can't be
Absolutely.
on 24/7.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. You're right. I think that there is a balance work that you have to have. Certainly, we all need to have it. I don't know how many people are using any systems. So I would like to, I'll start with Sean. And Sean, I would like to talk about if you have any systems that you're using, maybe 1 or 2 that you could share. What systems are you using in business that would actually help you move to another level? Okay, we'll move on to Daniel. Daniel, Any systems that you're using in business right now that actually help you?
Well, I mean, I think so. Like, I use a dialer, and I've found that, like, gosh, I don't know about you guys, but I get 30 spam calls a day, no exaggeration now. So I think one disadvantage of the dialer is, while it gives you speed and efficiency running through calls, obviously the name of the game is contacts. So I'd rather go slower with contacts and have more quality conversations than immediately if someone does pick up the phone on one of these dialers, they pick up and most of the phones now say who's calling, and I don't want to fight the uphill battle of first having to disprove them a spam call ahead of me asking the question when they plan on moving. So I've gone to hand dialing a lot more. So I think while technology is great, and I use Fellow as a CRM, I guess, for an example, I think that's a great CRM and worth the money. But outside of that, man, I think just good old fashioned calling people, picking up the phone and calling people. The telephone is the best system that we possibly have.
Right, absolutely. So let me just make sure I understand. You're basically saying, when you said dialer, I thought you meant an app. You mean you're actually physically dialing people yourself?
Well, these there's like Vulcan 7, for example, is a single line dialer. Other people, they use Mojo, and it's, I think, a 3-line dialer. I haven't paid for something called the Enzo dialer. That's a 14-line dialer. And again, I think Enzo's a great dialer to use, like when you've called through a list a few times and you've gotten some people that pick up. Enzo has a real good way of getting people, and that's ENZO for the folks at home. That is a great way of getting people to pick up that you haven't been able to reach by hand dialing or using one of the single line dialers.
Okay. All right, sounds good. And I like that. I never heard that. That's really good information. Thank you so much.
One more thing too, forewarn. I think a lot of these like Mojo and Vulcan pretty much get their data from the same place, and it's not always accurate. I think when you use forewarn to supplement that, you can find a lot of phone numbers that, or at least figure out which is the, like if you have a couple and they're expired listing, they come up on your dialer and you see 5 cell phone numbers. Odds are they don't own all 5 cell phone numbers. So it can help you figure out which ones belong to the respective people and make your dialing more efficient.
Absolutely. In fact, I've used Forewarn. I've used it for years. It's a phenomenal product. I think it's a great, way to scrub your leads and make sure that, you're talking to, live people. Like you said, sometimes there's 5 numbers, attached to one person. They don't have all 5 numbers, but you have to narrow it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that makes sense. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
Michelle, I'm going to circle back to you as well. Are you using any systems in your business?
So I say this to everyone. It doesn't matter how fancy systems you have, you actually have to do the work. So I'm using just KV Core, Bold Trail, whatever it is, but I'm utilizing it in a way, like I told you guys, I set up the homeversary emails that go out, birthday emails for some people that go out, utilizing it for, lead gen and stuff like that. So using that actively is helpful. But I kind of simplify things a bit more. My phone has how many contacts in it, and those are the only people I need to reach out to. So my system of just going through my contact list and reaching out to them, or through social media, the same thing. That's all I'm using. I'm not using any fancy systems. I'm not going above and beyond on anything like that. I'm literally doing the basics of being a human interacting with other humans.
And that's great, because there's no right or wrong way to do any of it. Just have to find, like you said, it doesn't matter. You really have to work it. You can have all these systems and you can start, going after all the shiny objects, but you have to work those systems. And so you have to hone in on what makes sense for you and how it works for you. So thanks. I appreciate that. Sean, what about you? Sean, are you using any systems in your business?
100% yes. So actually, I think the very important system which we use every day is CRM system. So again, whether it is your past clients or your current clients, you need a system where you can follow up every day. And I do have a CRM which has inbuilt dialer, so we make calls from that. I do have a ISA, so whatever the calls they make, they will just make a note on that. And actually, this Sunday we are organizing a client appreciation event. We are inviting all the clients which we have closed in the last few years. I think we are expecting a few hundred people there, and it was very easy to actually look for all those past clients and just send them a mass email and mass text, even though we are trying to reach out to them personally as well. So CRM, very important. You can also look for like a social media scheduling tool. I'm currently using Metricool, where you do, if you want to post, there's so many different platforms nowadays, like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. So,
yes, definitely.
Yeah, that can save you a lot of time. And also, recently I'm using a VoIP system. So what does that do is a lot of time, actually, a lot of our time is consumed every day in just answering calls, and and you're not able to focus on. So it's good to have that VoIP system. Even if you have your ISA or any assistant, they can answer the calls, take the message, and rather than you have a whole bunch of missed calls and nobody's there too. So those are the few systems I use. There are a lot of others, but these are the top three which I use every day.
What is the name of that system that you were speaking of? The name of all three of those systems?
Yeah, so I'm in Canada, so I use Agent Ligator CRM. So I do run ads on.
Okay. Thank you. And that sounds good. I appreciate that. Patrick, are you using any systems?
So I'm doing systems, a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. There's a system, it's called the 131 file. It's old school. Just like you can say, hey man, that's old school. Use CRM. Look, I got two CRMs. I'm a 100% believer in new technology, but there's also some old school stuff that just never gets old. And so 131 file is just really awesome. It prevents me from losing leads. I think if most realtors are being honest, you can go in your text messages, you go backwards, go back a month, go back 2 months, go back 3 months, and you'll be like, oh man, I dropped the ball on that one. I could have. And I just found out they just closed on a house. I was talking to them 2 months ago, 6 months ago. That could have been me that got that commission. How come you didn't get the commission? Because you dropped the ball, right? So right. We're human. Life gets in the way. We're busy. So for me, a fail-safe tool to never let that happen again, it's the 131 file. It's very simple. You can go on YouTube, Google it, whatever, you'll figure it out. But it's real simple. And if you want it, I can give it to one of these moderators. It's a lead sheet. You got a lead sheet. On the top of the page, it says name, phone number, date. And then on the left hand, there's a bunch of little columns, little rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, down 10, 20 little rows. And you say, name of the prospective client, the date, and then the next column is action plan. So you write the name, phone number, email. I contacted them September the 12th. Conversation. Yeah, we're going to sell our house in 6 months. Call me back in 2 weeks. Okay. 2 weeks from now is going to be September the 22nd. So I got a big 3-ring binder. In that 3-ring binder, I got one little partition for each day of the month, 31 partitions for 31 days. So on partition 22, September 22, I put that little lead sheet in there. It's got the name, phone number, etc. Hey, this is Patrick Sarna, EXP, calling you back. Told me to call you in a couple of weeks. Are you still on target to sell? Yeah, I am. Okay, so you do that. And you do that with all of your significant conversations, all of the potential, and then you don't drop the ball anymore. You're going to remember to call them back and just rotate. Okay, so you got a 131 file for active prospects, for transactions, for buyers and sellers. And then you got a separate 3-ring binder. These are the ones that you closed on. These are the ones that you closed. Okay, how many of us are guilty? We close the deal. I'll remember to call them back for Christmas, for their birthday. We don't. We forget. Life gets in the way. You got 5 other pending transactions. You forget. So this other binder is for follow-up. Wow. Right. So it's got all your ones that you closed. That way you don't forget about them. Yes, you can do a CRM. Yes, I do have a CRM to do that electronically. But something about having an old-fashioned manual binder that you can open up and every day. So that way you keep them. And then what? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years later. Hey, Patrick. Hey, Jane Doe. Yeah. We're going to start out. Hey, we want to buy a beach house in Port A. Okay. So Absolutely. Boom, there you go. You get another. So you got 2 folders there. And then you got a third 3-ring binder. This one is for prospecting. You're trying to bring in recruits to EXP. So you got passive income in your downline on your rev share.
Yes.
So now you got a 3-ring binder for all those realtors about to become realtors from other brokerages. You keep in touch with them. Eventually, they're going to get disgruntled. They're going to get upset with their broker, with the brown noser of their office or whatever, and they're going to hop on over to you. So you got 3 different 3-ring binders.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't drop the ball. Boom. That's one of my systems. I got other ones, but
that sounds good though, because I think you said it really well. You have to do what works for you, and sometimes people don't like electronics and they like hands-on. I do a little bit of both. And so for me, I schedule everything in advance. I am not an iPhone user. I'm an Android user. So I actually schedule my texts out the night before. So if I don't get it done at night, in the morning, I'm getting it done. If I have a few appointments during the day, I'm already sending you a scheduled text, and it's going to say, hey, Michelle, we're just checking to see if we're still on for today at 5 o'clock, just confirming our appointment. If I need to also automate something for next week, I'll do that when we schedule the appointment. Right after we schedule the appointment and I hang up the phone or I walk away from you, I'm going into my reminders to send you a text, even if it's a month out. So I like to try not to use my brain to remember because it's just not, I like to use my brain to be creative, and I like to use gadgets to remind me. And even for my appointments, when I have appointments all day, like when it was time to get on here, I had a little reminder. It told me, hey, Tracy, it's time to get on. It's time to do this. I don't want to miss it. And I don't want to try and do everything. So I think everybody had great answers with regard to how we do things and how it works. And this is a great platform for people to pick up nuggets. I'd like to ask you also, want to start off with, maybe I'll start with Daniel this time. And Daniel, I want to ask you to share with us, what do you see happening in your market? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Is it cold, slowed down? Is it, have you picked up a little bit? Tell us a little bit about your market. And in fact, tell us where you're serving it in Virginia.
So I'm in the Richmond, Virginia market, central Virginia. Really, we're seeing our normal trends this time of year. The only difference is we have about 20% more inventory. So not like an over-the-top spike. And Richmond's a big little town to begin with. So just what I found is super important when you're trying to price a property to list is you want to look at not just the recent sales in the area, but also others that are active so that you're the best priced in your category. And, it really comes down to Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Do you want to sell quickly or do you want to sit on the market for a long time? And most of them are going to answer sell quickly. And so then you use the actives to show how you can be the best priced in your category.
Sounds good. Actually, I agree with you. I believe that you don't look at just what's behind and what's sold, because you're right. You have to look what you're competing with. And yes. So if you're not competing with a whole lot of properties, you may be able to price it a little higher if you're competing with a lot of properties, then you have to take that in consideration and maybe adjust your price. So that was great information. I totally agree with that. And thank you so much. I'd like to ask Michelle. Michelle, tell us a little bit about your market and where you are focused at in Ontario.
Okay, so Ontario is our province, so it's quite large. I cannot work this whole province, but I work in a smaller market. I work an hour radius around where I live, and I kind of live rurally. So I work Kingston and Belleville and the surrounding areas. So right now what we're seeing is a bit more of a buyer's market. There is a ton of inventory. There has been a ton of inventory since about this spring. But at the same time, buyers are not moving as quickly. There's no sense of urgency. So there's not only houses sitting, they are 20 to 30% overpriced because a lot of them are still in the mindset of, well, my neighbor in COVID got $1 million. Well, that's not the market anymore. Prices have dropped 20 to 30% since that time, and buyers have no sense of urgency. So if they're not in a rush and there's tons of inventory, then they can sit there and wait, or they can toss in offers, 100,000 less or 50,000 less or whatever of the list price. And sellers are digging their heels in, right? They don't want to negotiate, or some of them are realizing, oh, geez, like we've gotten 2 offers now at this price. We probably should be at this price. Like this is probably the price we should be at. Others are not thinking as such. So it's a really tricky market right now to navigate. And even when we do have conversations with people like, hey, these are the 2, properties that have sold recently. This is currently what's on the market. Your house is a little bit more unique. We need to be pricing it accordingly. The main question is, how quickly do you need to move? What is your timeline? Right. So having that conversation of, okay, you do need to move quickly. You need to move within the next 2 months. Okay, well, we can't just take a risk and overprice it. We need to price it very appropriately. We need to have the, staging, photography, the visuals of everything be immaculate if you want top dollar of this amazing price and very reasonable price to sell it quickly within your timeline. Other people who, oh, well, we have enough time. We basically want to put it up now. So we might sit on the market for 6 months and then we'll find something. Well, in that case, okay, we have a bit more time. We can be a bit more flexible on price. I still think we should price it appropriately, but we can, instead of $599, maybe we do $625. And if we don't get much action, then we reduce it within 2 weeks. And here's the amendment for that with the listing agreement. We're going to sign that right off the bat.
I love that. Absolutely. I love that because it's a great strategy. You have given them the opportunity to set it at the price that they want to set it at. And then at the same time, you've said, hey, listen, if it doesn't sell at that price, we already have a signed change agreement. So we can just automatically, change the price. I think that what you said is very key. With clients, it's either time or money, like one or the other. You can't have both. So like you said, if it's time, then you're right. You know what? You may have to set it low. If you're looking at money, you can price it maybe to $625 instead of the $599. And I'm surprised to say, like you said, your market is really becoming a buyer's market. That's great to hear. That's really, really great to hear because it's turning the tables again. So thank you so much. Absolutely. Sean, how's your market? Tell us a little about your local market. Where are you at in the market and what do you see in terms of whether it's a buyer's market, seller's market? Has it evened out?
100%. Actually, I'm in Saskatchewan. I'm not sure a lot of people know about Saskatchewan. So we are Western Canada and not a lot of population. I live in Regina City and the population is anywhere 250 to 300,000. And we are one of the most affordable cities in whole Canada. The average house price is only around 350,000. So that makes our market special. So we don't have like huge appreciations in the market, but the market is very stable. We do have a consistent appreciation over the years, but being affordable, we are attracting a lot of newcomers, first-time home buyers, and also the rental market is pretty strong as well. So a lot of people or investing in the rental market portfolio to, with a good rate of returns and everything. So since COVID, we did have a good appreciation, like a 5 to 10% every year, and creating a strong demand. And we still have low inventory. I know other markets in Canada are totally opposite, but it's just a smaller market, and we still have a good demand, and uh, the buyers are looking for good options in the market. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That sounds good, especially when you talked about the investors and having investors in markets and, having a stable market. So, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is definitely good information. Patrick, in Texas, what part of Texas are you in and how's your market?
So I'm in Central and South Texas, San Antonio. I live in San Antonio. Spent about 40 years in Corpus Christi. They're on the Gulf of America. So I do residential in San Antonio, New Braunfels, Austin area, Corpus Christi a little bit, and then I'll do commercial, farm and ranch, and man, pretty much all over. I spend about $3,000 a month on diesel fuel just driving all over. But I would say that it's definitely more of a buyer's market right now. As was said earlier, it's values, sellers are not able to command the prices that they wanted before. So right now I'm seeing more activity from investors who are taking advantage of these high interest rates and people coming in with cash, trying to beat up the seller on the purchase price. So I'm seeing more buyers coming in with strong negotiation because of the market that we're in.
Absolutely.
The residential side, definitely, I just see a lot of struggle on for buyer and seller. On the commercial and farm and ranch and land for development side, it's I'd say it's more even. I'd say it's buyers, and they're less affected by the interest rates. They kind of enjoy this kind of a crisis, semi-crisis.
Wow. That sounds a little bit like my market. I'm actually in the New Jersey area, so I'm closer to Atlantic City, New Jersey. And the market has slowed in some areas. Like you can be in one city and in one city over, it's still booming. It's still pretty much close to a seller's market. But like Michelle said, I think it has to do with the finishes on the property. If it's in excellent condition and turnkey condition, I'm seeing those properties are going at full price or at, above price. But at the same time, there are sellers that are stuck because, a year ago they were getting so much higher in price and they're still looking to try and get those numbers and they have not panned out really well. And on the flip side of that, what you said, Patrick, is we have investors, and investors, if the numbers work, they don't really concern themselves with the interest rate because they're not paying the payment necessarily. So they are using this opportunity when there's inventory to actually buy properties. We don't have a whole lot of investment properties. So I am working sort of a little bit in the middle of that, a little in the middle of both of those. My next question would be, what piece of advice, what's one thing you could tell some of our people that are listening, some agents, what's one good thing that you could share and give in terms of advice for a new agent coming into real estate? And I'm going to start with you, Daniel.
Sorry about that. Had to take myself off mute. For a brand new agent, the first thing I would do is put together a database. Even if you don't have a CRM, no big deal. Get a scratch sheet of paper. Create a spreadsheet or a Google sheet, and put together name, address, phone number, at least name and phone number of everyone and they know you, and they're in your market. And the simplest call you could make is just an introduction that you're an agent, part of EXP or whatever the brokerage is, and ask them who they know who needs to buy or sell real estate. And then just
Absolutely.
from there, that's the simplest call. I mean, and I'm sure everyone will echo this here. Top producers, you find that 50% or more of their transactions come from repeat clients, people in their sphere, or referrals within your database. So that's the best call you can make, and you got to plant that seed. And then just my advice to any agent would be to remember that like that you're in a constant 3-month production cycle. So don't get disappointed if you call every single person you know and no one has a referral for you. You're planting a seed from every call that you make that has the potential to bear fruit in the next 3 months. And you got to keep with it and have that business maturity we talked about early to remember it's a process, and the more skills you can practice. So that would be another thing. Practice how to handle objections, because to me, that's the name of the game. When you're talking to people, is ask them open-ended questions to get information, understand their situation, and then know how to handle all the most common objections. And your prospecting time for quote-unquote cold calls will be a lot more efficient.
Absolutely, for sure. Yep. I think you hit it dead on the head in terms of when the first thing you really need to do, whether you have a piece of paper, whether you have a spreadsheet, whether you go old school like what Patrick said and you bring out the binder. Here at EXP, we're blessed because we actually have 3 options to use a CRM, and Michelle has used KV Core really well, and we have videos that can actually teach you how to use those systems. I didn't have the opportunity to have a CRM where I could actually start talking to people every day, and you said it, you have to practice. You can't always get something in life right away, because it's like the seasons, you will have in real estate some good seasons and some bad seasons. It's just like anything else, but they will always rotate. So you don't always have to worry about, maybe right now you're having a really busy season and then it cools off. I think in those times, like you said, you have to just get back in there and start talking to people. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to ask Michelle. Michelle, same question.
Okay, I'll piggyback the different seasons. So when I first started in real estate, I was like, go 24/7, can't miss a text message, can't miss a call, can't take any time off. So in those down times, I kept at, prospecting and doing my thing and putting stuff on social media. But I also now use that time to take some downtime. I'm going to utilize the slower time to take a minute and take a step back and, relax a little bit and utilize that time off and embrace it, because, I could be working for 6 months straight with no break, not even a weekend off. And, when it's the slow season, it's like, yes, okay, you know what? I need to actually embrace this and take advantage of it. Yes, the business will keep moving and running, and I have an admin that continues to do that. But I do utilize that time off just for myself. And then also another point, which I wish I was told at the beginning too, because you don't always have a mentor. Choosing your systems, choosing what you want to do. So you get into this business and you see people on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, they're on every single system, or you think they are. I wish someone told me you don't have to do everything. You can just choose 1 or 2 systems and just do them really well. And that's what I do. So I'm on Instagram regularly. I'm interacting with people. I make really awesome videos, I hope anyway. But I'll make those things just for Instagram, and sometimes they shoot over to Facebook because they're connected. But I don't have to do everything. And I think in the beginning, when you first start out, you feel as if you need to do everything and use every system, and you just really don't. It's niching down. Absolutely. And finding what you actually will use, and again, what you'll actually use. If you're not going to use TikTok, don't get on it. If you're not going to use LinkedIn, don't be on it. There's no need to do a bunch of things half-assed. Just do like a couple things really good.
So agreed. Absolutely. So agreed. That is absolutely good gold. Because for the most part, nobody's ever told us when we came into business that you can't do everything. You don't have to do everything.
Right.
And we run after that shiny, what they call that shiny syndrome object, where you're a shiny object syndrome, where every time something is brighter, you're running after that to see if that works. You're spending money here, you're spending money there. and you're just going in so many different directions, which is why, again, I will always say I love being at EXP, because we have so many different ways that we can learn, and we have these podcasts, we have these conversations, these ICONversations, so people can actually share, and you can park on their brain and get some of their knowledge. So I thank you for that. Great information. I am going to actually go with Patrick. Patrick, what is the one thing that you could say to a new agent that you wish you had known?
I would say, don't overtrain, get out of your head, and start making the phone calls. Again, I was guilty of that. When I say overtrain, you can never do too much training. But when you are training, but doing no rubber hitting the blacktop, you're not making those phone calls. You're not making follow-up calls. You're not actually meeting clients. You're not showing properties. And you're just training and accumulating books and training. But I would just say, the one thing I would say for a new agent or struggling, get out of your head, make the phone calls, put in that time. And, I did one of those, classes early on 8 years ago when I first started, teaching you how to cold call and how to call your sphere of influence. And they did a little technique, and I'm sure some of you have done it. And they'll say, okay, for 20 minutes, go to your phone or go to a corner in the room and just call different people in your contact list in your cell phone to say, hey, my name is John Doe. I'm with eXp Realty. By any chance, do you need to buy or sell a home or any other kind of property? I say, nope. Okay, well, do you know anybody in your family or friends? Nope. Well, do you know anybody from your church or from your kid's school event? They get tired of that. Say, well, you know what? My brother-in-law, they want to buy they want to buy a house or a condo. Okay, can I have his number? Yeah, sure. Here. Okay, boom. So after 20 minutes of doing that, everybody comes back to their chair, and guess what? At least 3/4 of the people that did 20 minutes of cold calling from their sphere of influence on their phone, man, you got commissions about to happen now. Boom, you're popping.
Wow, absolutely.
So I would just say that's a very concrete example of get out of your head and just do it. So many people just don't do it. They're stuck in their head.
And I think what you're basically talking about as well, in investment terms, we call it analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
You're just analyzing everything to the point where you're just paralyzed. You can never really do anything. You're just getting the education, looking at the videos, looking at the podcasts, and you never get off the sofa. So I appreciate that. That was well said. Sean, I'm going to ask you, what one piece of advice could you give a new agent? Okay, Sean is not there for right now. Do you have your mic muted maybe? Okay, well, I'll jump in, because one piece of advice that I would give my old self would be, I recognize in real estate that real estate is relational. It's relationship business. And so I would say to a new agent or to myself, hey, if you're in the business, you actually need to start creating relationships, because relationships are where your sphere of influence, it's where your gravy is. Like, I don't like personally to talk to people that I don't really know, love, and trust. I will if I have to, but I feel like when I create relationships with people, and I'm not always asking them for something, because they are so used to, if you have a hat on and you're in real estate, you're asking for business. I don't necessarily ask for anything. It's all about what I can give them. What can I provide to you? What kind of value can I give you? Even if it may be some referrals. Maybe you can park on my brain and learn something. If you need something in the area, I like to see what I can give to other people, because I believe in the law of reciprocity. I believe that you reap what you sow. So I don't think that I need to go in to get. I will always go in to give. So thank you, Sean. I think you're back. And the question okay, great. The question that I had posed was, give one word of advice that you would give to a new agent, or maybe to yourself, when you started in business.
No, great points by everyone. I was listening to all of you guys. Again, I do come across a lot of new agents who are concerned about, okay, we are just new in the business. We don't know many people. we don't know what to do, where to start, and everything. And I will always say, where there's a will, there's a way. So again, like if you don't know anybody, open houses is a great way actually, to find new clients. You can do open houses every weekend. You can do door knocking, like 25 to 50 doors around that open house to know people about that particular property. You can do 30 minutes of social media engagement every day. You can build good connections there. You can volunteer like for different community events. And yeah, I think, and just do conversation with your local businesses, your sphere of influence. And if you do consistent efforts, your business will start doing good. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love what you said. Open houses are very simple to do. And it's an easy way, like you said. Now you can open the house up and maybe go a half hour or 1 hour before, and you can do some door knocking, put some hangers on the door, introducing yourself. And you don't have to necessarily have the listing. You could use one of your fellow agents in EXP. You can borrow one of their properties if you don't have one. We have lots of people like Michelle that's really busy, and hey, can I use one of your houses? Can I host an open house? So great information, everybody. And I think that I don't know if anybody has anything they want to add, but we're wrapping up right now, and I think this went great. And I want to thank everybody for being here. Daniel, Patrick, Sean, Michelle, and Brian. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being the moderator, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. And thank you, Michelle. And thank you, Sean, Daniel, Patrick. You guys are so amazing. And
Thanks.
we will see you next Friday. If you are watching this live on YouTube, smash that like button and make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications about our panels. And we will also be here next week. Have a good one. See ya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Also, for anybody watching out there in the audience, if you don't already know, we gift you 2 cultural commitment points if you're in an active ICON benefit year. Have a good one. Bye-bye.